You felt it again today, that hot, silent surge in your chest when someone said the thing designed to get a rise out of you. The comment that was really a hook, the tone that was really a test, and you reacted, maybe only with your face, maybe only with a flicker behind your eyes, but you reacted, and in that half second you handed them something you can never fully take back. You've spent years being readable. You explain yourself when no explanation was asked for. You defend your position to people who were never going to change their minds. You let your face do work your dignity never agreed to. And the people around you have learned quietly exactly which string to pull to make you move. You were told this made you honest, authentic, a good man, an open book, a person with nothing to hide. That was the lie installed in you so early, you mistook it for your own personality, because the truth is simpler and colder than that. A man who reacts to everything can be operated by anyone, and somewhere beneath your awareness, you have always known this. That is why you are here, not by accident, not by some random scroll. You arrived at this exact idea on this exact day because a part of you that you have been ignoring has been trying to get your attention for a very long time. Carl Jung understood the mechanism better than anyone who came before him. Read that again, because it is the entire architecture of what we are about to uncover. Every reaction you give away is the unconscious directing your life. Every time you flinch, defend, justify, or perform your feelings for an audience that did not earn them, you are being moved by something below your awareness. And you have spent your life calling that being a good person. It was never that, it was a string. And today you are going to find out who has been holding it. Before we go deeper, do something for me. If you have ever felt that quiet exhaustion of being too easy to read, type 2 words in the comments. No reaction, not for me, for the part of you that is finally about to be heard. Now let's begin. Here is the first thing no one ever told you. Every reaction you give is a payment, and you have been paying it your entire life without ever seeing the invoice. Think about what actually happens in the moment someone provokes you. They say something sharp. Your body responds before your mind does. Your jaw tightens, your breath shortens, the heat climbs into your face. And in that instant, you have just transferred information. You have told them with total precision where you are soft, where you can be reached, which words go in and which words bounce off. You think you defended yourself. You didn't. You filed a detailed report and handed it to the one person who should never have received it. This is the tax, not your money, not your time, your legibility. The more reactive you are, the more transparent you become. And the more transparent you become, the easier you are to position, predict, and quietly maneuver. The person who knows exactly how you will respond has already won every interaction before it begins. They don't need to be stronger than you. They don't need to be smarter than you. They only need to know which button produces which result. And you have been showing them free of charge for years. Let me name the exact moment so you cannot pretend you don't recognize it. You're in a conversation. Someone makes a small, deniable jab, the kind that's wrapped in a smile so that if you object, you're the one overreacting. And you feel the split-second decision happen inside you. Let it go or address it, and you address it. You say the thing, you correct the record, and for one breath it feels like strength. Then you watch their eyes, and you see it. The faint satisfaction of a person who just confirmed the machine works. They pressed, you moved, the transaction completed. That is the tax, paid in full with interest. And here is where it turns, because I won't leave you sitting in that recognition. The exhaustion you felt, the sense of being constantly slightly managed by the people around you, was never proof that you are weak. It was proof that you are valuable enough to be worth operating. People do not bother pulling strings that lead nowhere. The very fact that others have learned to provoke you is evidence that your reactions carry weight. You were never the fool in the room. You were the resource being mined. And the moment you understand that, you stop being minimal. Now we go one layer beneath the tax into something far more uncomfortable because I respect you too much to keep this comfortable. Your reactions are not random. That is the part that should unsettle you. Every place you are reactive maps to a specific wound you have not closed. The criticism that genuinely doesn't touch you, you pass over without a flicker. But the one that lands, the one that makes your chest tighten, it lands because some part of you secretly suspects it might be true. Your reaction is not a response to their words. It is a response to your own unhealed doubt, and they merely knocked on a door you never bothered to lock. This is the tell, and everyone around you can read it whether they understand it or not. When you over-defend, you are pointing directly at the thing you fear is real. When you laugh a beat too hard, you are marking the joke that actually hurt. When you go cold and quiet in a way that is louder than shouting, you are broadcasting the exact location of the bruise. People may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it. They learn your map. And a man whose internal map is public property does not own himself. Sit in this for a moment, because here is the discomfort I promised. The people you resent most for getting under your skin did not put anything under your skin. They found what was already there. The thinness of your skin in those specific places is not their doing. It is the unfinished work you have been avoiding. That is a hard thing to read about yourself, I know. I'm not asking you to enjoy it, but watch what happens when you turn it over. Because if your reactions are a map of your wounds, then your reactions are also the most honest diagnostic tool you will ever own. Every time something provokes you, the world is handing you a free coordinate to the exact place inside you that still needs sovereignty. You don't have to feel ashamed of the bruise, you get to use it. The man who studies his own reactions instead of performing them is doing something almost no one does. He is reading the map before anyone else can use it against him. You're not exposed anymore. You're informed. And notice something quietly. Most people will never get this far into an idea like this. They feel the discomfort I just described, and they click away because the unconscious would rather stay unconscious. You didn't. That matters more than you think. So now you understand the cost of reacting, and you understand what your reactions reveal, which means you're ready for the move itself. And here is where almost everyone gets it wrong, including most of the people who teach this. They think non-reaction means suppression. They think the goal is to feel the surge and white-knuckle it down, to clamp your face shut, swallow the heat and call that discipline. It isn't. That is not stillness. That is a man sitting on a pressure valve, and everyone can see the strain. Suppression is just reaction with a delay. The string still moved you, you only hid the twitch. And people can feel the difference between a calm man and a man pretending to be calm, the way they can feel the difference between silence and held breath. Here is the first reversal, and I want you to feel it land. Strategic detachment is not about controlling your reaction. It is about no longer being the kind of man the reaction belongs to. The work is not at the surface, at the face, the voice, the clenched jaw. The work is beneath, at the level Jung pointed to, where the string is actually attached. When you close the wound, there is nothing left to pull. The provocation arrives, and it finds no door, because you went back and locked everyone. You are not holding still. You have simply become still. Those are not the same thing, and the gap between them is the entire difference between a man who is managing himself and a man who owns himself. This is what the ancients understood and dressed in different language. The Stoics called it the inner citadel, the part of you that no external event can enter without your consent. Jung called it individuation, becoming so completely yourself that the opinions of others lose their grip. Machiavelli understood the political version. The ruler whose intentions cannot be read, cannot be undermined, because you cannot move against a man whose next move you cannot predict. Three different traditions, separated by centuries, all circling the same buried law. The man who has repossessed his own reactions has become unreachable. And the unreachable man is, by definition, untouchable. Feel what that would actually be like. Picture yourself walking into the room that has always cost you something. The family member who knows your buttons, the colleague who competes in disguise, the old friend who needles you to feel taller. And this time, nothing connects. The jab arrives and dissolves in the air between you. You feel the old surge begin and then watch it fade, because there is no longer a wound for it to feed on. You don't perform calm. You simply have nothing at stake. And the strangest part is the look on their face. The small, disoriented flicker of someone reaching for a lever that used to be there and finding only smooth wall. You haven't won the exchange. You've removed yourself from the game entirely. That is what self-possession feels like from the inside. Today, it sounds like an idea. Practiced, it becomes who you are. But something else happens when you stop reacting, and almost no one warns you about it, because it's the part that reveals what was really going on the whole time. When you withhold your reaction, you become a mirror. And the people who relied on your reactions are suddenly left staring at themselves. Understand what a provocation actually is. It is an attempt to discharge something. The person provoking you is carrying a feeling they don't want to hold. Insecurity, envy, a need to feel powerful, a wound of their own they never examined. And they hand it to you by getting you to react, because your reaction absorbs it. It gives their feeling somewhere to go. You have spent your life as the receptacle for other people's unprocessed emotion, and you called it being a considerate man. When you stop reacting, that feeling has nowhere to land. It rebounds. It goes straight back to the person who threw it. And for the first time, they have to feel the thing they were trying to make you feel. This is why your stillness disturbs people so much more than your anger ever did. Your anger gave them something to push against. It confirmed they had power over your inner state. Your stillness gives them nothing, and in that nothing, they meet themselves. The colleague who needles you discovers his own smallness echoing back. The relative who provokes you hears how he sounds in the silence where your reaction used to be. You did nothing to them. You simply stopped volunteering as the container for what they couldn't carry. The mirror went dark, and they saw their own reflection in it. And this is the second reversal, the one that recontextualizes everything you thought this video was about. You came here believing non-reaction was a tool to win, a better way to handle the people who provoke you, a technique to come out on top. It was never that. Winning still ties you to them. A man who needs to win is still being moved, just in a more sophisticated way. The real prize was never victory over them. It was the moment you stopped needing the exchange at all. Non-reaction does not make you the better competitor. It removes you from the competition and leaves the other person competing with the empty air where you used to be. You are not above them in the game. You have walked off the board, and the board cannot follow. Let yourself notice this too. Not everyone reading this will be able to hold this distinction. The difference between winning and no longer playing is subtle enough that most people will collapse it back into be the bigger man, and you'll come out ahead. If you can feel why, that misses the point entirely, why the goal is not to come out ahead, but to stop measuring yourself by ahead at all, then you are already operating at a level most people never reach. That's not flattery, it's just what the data of your own attention is telling me. So let's assemble the whole architecture now, because the pieces only reveal their full shape when you see them together. A reaction is a payment. The places you react are a map of your unhealed wounds. Stillness is not suppression, but the repossession of the self at the level beneath the string. And withholding the reaction turns you into a mirror that returns to people what they tried to hand you. Each of these is a layer of the same single law. The law your thumbnail named, the one you've been circling this entire time, the law of no reaction. And here, at the end, it finally opens into its full meaning. To become untouchable is not to become hard. This is the mistake of the cold man, the man who confused armor with sovereignty. He thinks the goal is to feel nothing, so he kills his own capacity to feel and calls the corpse strength. That man is not untouchable. He is brittle in a way that takes longer to discover. Real untouchability is not the absence of feeling. It is feeling everything fully and giving away nothing involuntarily. You still feel the surge. You simply stop letting the surge be withdrawn from you by anyone who happens to know the password. The feeling is yours. It stays yours. That is what sovereignty actually means, not an empty vault, but a vault that only you can open. And remember the door I asked you to notice at the very beginning, the one you handed open every time you flinched, the report you filed and gave to the wrong person. Here is what that image was always pointing toward. You were never weak for having doors. Every human being has them. The wound was never that you could be reached. The wound was that you didn't own the keys. Today you take them back. Not by sealing yourself off from the world, but by deciding consciously what reaches you and what does not. The unconscious that Jung said would direct your life and feel like fate. You just made it conscious. And the moment you make it conscious, it stops being fate. It becomes a choice. It becomes yours. Picture the man you become 6 months into living this. You walk slower. You speak less. And what you do say carries a weight it never used to, because you no longer spend your words defending ground that was never under attack. People lean in to read you and find that for the first time, they can't. There's a stillness around you now that others can sense before you say a word, and they treat you differently because of it, though most of them couldn't tell you why. The ones who used to provoke you have quietly stopped trying. The lever is gone and they've felt it. You are not colder. You are not harder. You are simply finally unreachable except by your own permission. And the strange piece of that, the piece of a man who no longer flinches, becomes the most ordinary thing in the world to you. If this reached the part of you it was meant to reach, subscribe, not as a favor to me, but because the work of becoming sovereign is not finished in one video, and the next layer of this only opens for the people who keep showing up for it. And there is a next layer, because the law of no reaction is only the first discipline. There is a deeper one, the practice of becoming genuinely unpredictable, the man whose silence is not just a shield, but a force that reorders the room before he ever speaks. That's the video appearing on your screen now, and it's the natural next step, the moment your stillness becomes real. Watch it next. See what others miss. Know what others fear. Become who others can't.